I'm not sure. You know, hey, I don't want to kill babies. You know what I mean? I don't want to kill babies. But is it just like to what extent do I not want to kill babies? You know what I mean? Now my producer is very silent over here, so it's just me. Chulo Rich, had an emergency. Sorry about. Hey everybody, we're back and all that stuff. But I'm trying to figure out this Roe v. Wade stuff because I've heard your concerns and your complaints, issues on both sides, right? Even if you look through the little hashtag thingamabobs, I've kind of got both sides incorporated in that. But Roe v. Wade, I don't want babies getting killed. And I believe it's not up to me to stop it. I don't know. I can't talk about this by myself, man. I gotta go find somebody. First of all, I think we've had enough dudes talking about this thing. So I just have some questions and I'm gonna go see if I can find somebody. Hang on, folks, real quick. Right. So welcome back to Urban Academia. I am back from vacation. Finally, I'm back on this microphone. I miss you guys. I miss my guests, my co-hosts, everybody. Right?
Yeah.
Miss JRM, please once again introduce yourself. How are you doing, by the way? Looking lovely.
I am good. Thank you for that. I am Jamie Moorehead, and I am the owner and creator of Jay's Butter. I'm an entrepreneur. I do lots and lots of things, right? So if I listed them all, we'd be here all day. So I'm just here on, to talk with you about some issues, I guess, right?
What issues? I don't have any issues. Who told you? Who you been talking to? No, I'm just kidding. No, you're absolutely
You
right.
was talking to yourself earlier.
Well, yeah, sometimes, usually I have my co-host here and we're going back and forth. I've got my very quiet, beautiful producer
You're right.
somewhere in the vicinity. She's less than a mile away, right?
But she didn't
Anyway,
say anything to you about.
nothing. So we had a little pre-conversation before our next guest here joins us. Uh, yeah, talk to me. Is it baby killing or is it not? What is this Roe v. Wade thing, in your opinion? Go.
Okay, so first, because I have to make sure I lay my ground thing is because I don't want anybody coming for me like they always do. But I will say that you are free to make any decision you please. You are not free from those consequences of those decisions. Now, everybody's going to say, what about the people that are raped and this and that? And that's fine. I'm talking about people that make a conscious decision. Okay, so let's make sure that that's clear out the gate. Do I think it's okay to kill a baby because I was having irresponsible sex and the consequence of sex is possible reproduction, and now I don't want to be responsible for having a child out of wedlock? Just being honest. Or even even married. So I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's okay to make the decision for a life. The baby can't tell you, hey, excuse me, I don't really want to be here. I don't want you to be my mama. So you can go ahead and kill me. The baby can't tell you that.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Well, I think that's the perfect time to introduce. If our guest is ready, I'll see her in the green room. Give me a wave if you're ready. Yeah. Hello, Miss Jasmine. How are you? Please introduce yourself. And then I want you to, we'll let you introduce yourself first, and then we'll go from there.
So, hi everybody. I'm Jasmine. I'm a physician assistant, and I am here to discuss Roe versus Wade being overturned. I imagine. So, and I'm a startup.
Okay, so when she says I imagine, now look, the I want you to understand the streak of fear that went through my entire body down to my bones of like, did I not say what we were discussing? But you know what? Neither here nor there. here's where we are. Roe v. Wade. I'm going to ask you this question. Medical assistant, congrats to you. I know that's a pretty recent move in your
If
personal
she's a
life there.
physician's assistant, you got to say that right.
Physicians, what I say? What I do?
You said medical
I'm
assistant.
Medical
She's
assistant.
like down from a doctor, right?
Say it
That's
again.
correct. Yes,
I
ma'am.
worked
Thank
in the
you.
medical field. I got you
Okay.
now.
Wait. I want to get this absolutely right. Medical assistant is what? And then what are you actually?
So funny, I actually used to be a medical assistant. I
Mhm.
was a medical assistant for 7 years before I went to medical school to become a physician assistant. So physician assistant is like similar to a nurse practitioner. We prescribe medications and do outpatient procedures. We are also able to be first assist in surgeries. So we can just kind of hop around from specialty to specialty as we please, because we've been trained. We know a lot about a lot of things, like, but no, expert at none. So that's kind of where physician
Jack of
assistant.
all trades. I
Right.
like
So
cutting
she's
it
like
off right
one
there.
step down from being a doctor. Like if she decided to, she could be a doctor. You know, like the next step is that for her.
Yeah, yes, indeed.
See?
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
I want you to imagine that there's a group of guys sitting around a table making decisions, right, with my level of knowledge or worse, that reverb all throughout the federal government and therefore beyond, right?
Okay.
Incredible. It takes not very much skill to become a governor or whatever position in government, right? It's useful. It's definitely one of those things that you want to have, but you don't need it. I mean, that's been proven time and time before. So what we are talking about today, Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court justices, their decision. My question, very crudely, is it baby killing? Is it not? What does this mean? What is Roe v. Wade in your opinion?
So, well, Roe v. Wade was a constitutional right to obtain an abortion. To me, it is not baby killing. It is terminating a pregnancy. So, and at times, it can be a medical necessity for a patient. So, but regardless of the rhyme or reason for obtaining it, I think is frankly nobody's business. So, I've always been taught mind the business that pays you, and that has gotten me very far in life. So,
Well, that's an interesting way of putting it. Miss Moorehead, any thoughts on her definition or any further clarification of your own?
I guess I do have a question. You said that it's not baby killing, right? That it's a termination of a pregnancy. What does termination actually mean?
means just to end a pregnancy, simply.
But
Terminate
in order to end the
stop.
pregnancy, what does that look like? You could end the pregnancy by delivering the baby and keeping it, right? I'm just asking, right?
Sure.
So what does termination truly mean when it comes to Roe v. Wade? And that's just a legitimate question.
Sure. So there's a difference if we're speaking like medical wise. When terminating a pregnancy, at that point, if you were to deliver, right, the baby would not be able to survive on its own outside of the womb. It would still be 100% reliable on the mother for viability, or life. So, but then there is a point where you can kind of weigh risk versus benefits or throw statistics on, they are more likely to survive at 27 weeks and beyond. They have a higher ability to survive just because their organs are a bit more developed.
Right.
The lungs are the last thing to come in. So, and usually once that's there, you can actually kind of speed up, if you will, a pregnancy. You can give steroids to try to, get that baby's lung development pushed along a little bit if there's already complications deep in the pregnancy.
Right.
But
I got one more question though. When you Have you ever done an abortion yourself? Like, have you ever been there? What's the steps to an abortion? What happens to the baby once it is taken out of the mom's womb? Actually, before that, let's start from when he goes in there. He puts the specula in there, right? And he is looking for the baby to go ahead and take it out of the mom's womb. This is for her laying on the table to have an abortion. Are you able to tell us like what that looks like?
So if you're referring to like a suction pregnancy or abortion, I'm sorry, rather than like a medicinal, like taking a pill, right?
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, so really, there's not any looking for a baby or anything like that. It's the suction tool is inserted into the cervix, which is the opening to the uterus where pregnancies are, and that is like the only window out for anything, right? So it's put up there and is basically kind of suctioned out, and I imagine in bio waste.
So is it in pieces?
Other blood, or
it's in pieces though, right? Like when we're talking about, so we'll say that we're talking about 13 weeks to like just in like 13 weeks and under. That's the suction situation, right? 13 weeks and up, you have to do what to the baby though? Like if I'm not mistaken, they have to go in there. It's a suction again, but like, is it suction by body parts? Like, how does that work? Like, how does that work when they're bigger babies?
I wouldn't imagine it'd be suction like by body parts. To be truthful, like most medical procedures are not as precise as people maybe think they are.
I have to disagree with you. Maybe back in 2016 there was a person that did abortions his whole entire thing, and he actually was a witness on a stand, and he went through the procedure of doing abortions and what he had to do, especially when they were bigger, as far as kill the baby first and then suction it out and all of those things. So he went into detail, and when he got done, I think that was his realization that yes, you are murdering someone. Now I can go back and find it, because it had to happen, because we were in 2016, we were fighting to know if we should have full-term abortions at that time, right? Like, so that was the argument, like, is it okay to have full-term abortion? So he had to go through the procedure even at the 13 weeks mark, when it still had like the development of that. So I'm trying to I guess I'm just trying to give a clear understanding of what terminate truly means, because it's a wide definition.
Hang on, Jamie. Allow me to try to funnel that definition down some, okay? Because we are starting off hot. I like it. Two brilliant black women, opposing ends seemingly, but I think what we all are aiming for is probably a lot closer than we realize. One thing, what I'm gonna say is, we talked before the show, my perception is my reality, therefore everyone else's is theirs. And one thing that I'm hearing from both of you is, one, Miss Jasmine is saying medical procedure, and Jamie, you see it more as what? I'm trying to get a good definition for how you see this procedure.
Are you talking about like a medical? Wait.
The actual abortion.
So are you? Right. I guess for me, it's a decision. Like, because for some, it's a decision. Okay, not for all. Like, so we're saying the person is an emergency and they have to make that choice. I want to make sure that's clear, because I made sure I said that in the beginning. But for a vast majority, per the CDC stats and on who goes and gets abortions, it's a decision to abort a child or to terminate a pregnancy, an unwanted pregnancy.
Okay, and that's pretty clear then. So for you, it is baby killing,
basically.
Right. So, and if a male, but to what extent? I want to know how far back are you going. If a male ejaculates into a sock, did he just kill, possibly, prospectively, millions of kids?
If he did what?
Did he just kill millions?
No. If he ejaculated where though?
If he ejaculated into a sock or wherever. It don't think it matter at that point.
I mean, it don't become a baby until it meets the egg. Like, I mean, that's just sperm. I mean, the little homies are trying to go somewhere. I know they're going nowhere fast because it's a sock.
Right.
I'm just saying. So,
And forgive me if the question seems forgive me if the question seems crazy. I know, because here's my thing: there are people in this world that don't believe in eating meat or any meat products, right? Because
Right.
it's alive. But then some people see plants as alive, and
Right,
I don't know. I want to get a clear cut view of
Yeah.
everybody's side, because
until the sperm meets the egg, it's not considered a human.
So for you,
yet
as
because
soon
it
as
has
the
43
sperm,
chromosomes, huh?
so you're saying like before, sperm meets egg, tail breaks off, that protective coating around the egg goes up, boom, right there, life.
That's
baby.
it right there, because it already protects itself. Like, it already says, hey, sperm over here, that's
Right.
keep trying to get in. We don't need you no more because we got somebody that made it.
Fine. Now, so for you, is there anything that myself, Jasmine, or the rest of the internet who's on the opposite side of you, is there anything we can say to change your mind of that?
Oh, heavens, no.
Okay.
And
No, hang on. Jasmine, is there anything that can convince you that once sperm meets egg, tail breaks off, protective coating, that's where life begins?
Is there anything that can convince me that is
Yeah.
not when life begins?
Yeah. Will it to convince you to change your definition from a medical procedure to no, that's murder?
Oh, yeah, no.
So how about this? And I hope everybody, all 2.5 of you out there who are watching that government, what I want y'all to understand is we're not here to have that conversation. There is no changing. The lines have been drawn.
Yeah.
We have made those decisions. Now, here's what I want to talk to you ladies about. Right? Ooh, curveball. Oh, not really. Stay with me here. What I want to talk to you about is the politicizing, one way or the other, red or blue, donkey or frapping elephant, this singular issue in order to get other things accomplished. Because one thing that really stuck out to me as I watched the fights go on, forever long, the leaked, the draft of the decision, and then finally the decision, and then the protesting. I'm watching all this stuff, but one thing I'm not really hearing much about is Clarence Thomas saying like, okay, great, got that done. And now that precedent, that's a word that should be a theme in everybody's thought.
Now that
precedent has been changed. Hang on, Jamie.
Okay. I didn't hear
now
you.
The precedent. As
Okay,
he said, the precedent has been changed. We now need to look at gay rights and some other things. And Texas, a week later, had a good little convention talking about possible secession. You understand, like, the domino effect of this, right? From a decision that started off originally as a Mississippi fouling, right? Where they were asking, hey, man, they're trying to go from, I don't know what, we want to keep it 15 weeks or something like that. And they went out of their way to make this a Roe V Wade thing. They just needed anything that came close to make this decision that they already had planned to do it. And I know they plan to do it because Jerry False, or whatever his name is, and many very conservative far-right Republicans has said decades ago, this is the one thing we will get done. And basically says, because if we can show them we can do that, then we can get the voters, the Republican voters, to do whatever they wanted to. And I agree with it. I mean, that man is dead, and he predicted that we won't even see, like, it won't even happen in my time. He predicted 50 years out. It happened 35 years sooner than he predicted. So this is what I want to talk about, because we're not going to change any minds out there, I don't think. That's a pretty far stretch to believe that we're going to go from, you know what, maybe it's not baby murder. It is a procedure. You know what, I agree, Jasmine. Good job. Or, you know what, Jamie, I agree with that. My focus is the powers that be who are still doing what they always do, left and right. And I'll leave that kind of open. Miss Jamie, would you agree with that assessment?
Oh, so I guess what I'm gonna repeat so I can make sure I got what you said all together. You're saying, and is that the overturning of Roe v. Wade, right, is the beginning of the overturning of other situations? Is that what you're saying, or like what are you trying to say?
Because I'm just saying that one of the justices who made that decision,
okay,
Justice Thomas, literally was quoted saying we have to now look at some other things such as gay marriage, contraception, and a myriad of other things. And he was very vague about what the third or more thing was, but he's basically saying contraception and gay marital rights.
Okay, so I mean, I'm going to tell you what I told you behind the scenes. I feel like when the federal government says, hey, we are overturning our decision to make every state in here listen to what we said, right? To do exactly what we said, allow gay marriage in their state, all of those things. The federal government is saying, you know what? I'm going to let the state decide what they want to do, which is what had happened prior to them making it a federal situation, right? And I think it was interesting. Here's why it's interesting. I want the right to make the decision for myself, but I want the federal government to tell the state and the people that we put in office, because we voted for those governors, to make a decision that the federal government or whatever wants to happen, right? So here's the thing. Forget the federal government. What state do you live in? Do you live in a red state or a blue state? Who did you vote for and what are their views?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's going to be your state's choice on what to implement and what you have to live by. Or you can move to one that has a better rules for you, better rules that apply to what you want.
Let me ask you,
go ahead.
Well, I want to stick with that point. I like that. Hey, if you don't like what your state's doing, get the frap out. Right? My wife had an interesting, wife/producer had an interesting theory of, hey, maybe liberals should spread out, stop being so concentrated, and start moving into, the Dallases or whatever, right? And spread it out to make it more blue, and then maybe we can have more honest debates. But let me ask Jasmine this question: if this personally affected you today, and you had to get this done in a matter of weeks, could you be able to do it? Would you be willing to move? Is it just that easy for you? And I mean, I'm not gonna put your business out there. Do you have children?
No, I don't know. I don't know if we're all familiar with the current price of the housing market right now, but it's not that easy to move, So, and I don't think you should have to move to receive an abortion. I think that's kind of dumb, really. I think that as the issue is that because it was federally protected and it was part of our constitutional right, and now we are left to a state, the state, to determine what it's going to be, because we now no longer have that right. Mm-hmm. And when you are living in a red state, like, there are plenty of Republicans who have had abortions. Like, mm-hmm. There are plenty of Republicans there are plenty of people in general who may support someone who does work against their self-interest, but when at a base of like the reality of things, like, but I just feel like that shouldn't have been touched, honestly. Like, it's been what, close to 50 years right now. There are several generations that have no clue what it's like to not have a right to decide what to do with themselves. Several generations, most of the generations alive now, have no clue what pre-Roe V Wade was like. And now we're adjusting to that. Like, and once that Friday hit, so many states, including the state I live in, cut it up, shut it down that fast. Now like I said, I'm a PA. I work in a rehab facility as it's inpatient for detox and inpatient care following. I have plenty of women who would like to, that come through, who are pregnant, do not want to be pregnant. They already have 6 kids at home, and here they are in rehab. They know good hell and well they cannot. And it's my job to advocate for my patient. Like, you tell me what plan we're gonna do. I lay out the options. Boo, boo, boo. Which one of these would you like to do? Whatever
It's
you
no
do,
different than a
I'll
lawyer,
support you.
right? Hey, I don't care what your kids or your husband thinks. I'm here to
Oh
represent
yeah,
you.
I make
So,
that very clear. I don't care what your mama, your cousin, your daddy, I don't care what anybody
right.
thinks. What do you want to do?
And that's fine. That's your job. And well, my question to Miss Jamie, because I know her thing is deal with those consequences, right? You got 6 kids, you got the 7th, figure it out. And my question to you is, to what extent are you, as a taxpayer, Miss Moorehead, willing to do? Like, how far are we going to take this idea, right? Because I love how she said, hey, Republicans have abortions too, but I don't think Miss Moorehead is discounting that or even defending them. She's saying black, blue, red, purple, yellow, polka dot, whatever. All of you, keep your legs closed. If you don't, deal with those consequences, i.e., not being able to afford the child. But that turns into a whole slew of other problems, doesn't it? So to what extent are you willing to, I don't know, I guess, hold to that ideology in practice from Friday's decision on?
I mean, I've done it my whole life. Actually, my mom has done foster care, that big family daycare. I've watched kids. I worked in the criminal justice system in the juvenile department. I was a foster parent myself. I work with mentally challenged adults now, and I've been doing that for 13 years. So I do my due diligence, and that's why I'm able to say, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's our job. And for me, it's our job, for what I believe in, for us to take care of the orphans, the widows, and the homeless. So I'm going to do exactly what I was commissioned to do. I don't know about anybody else, and I'm sorry that they don't do that. I'm sorry they claim something and they don't do it. But it is our due diligence. Like, we already know that people are going to be and do what they want to with their bodies and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, I still don't think it's fair, if it's not a medical condition or something like really, like whatever we have given the stipulation for, if you can lay down and open your legs, there was other things you could have done prior to, because you didn't did it 6 times. Now you just being selfish because it feels.
I disagree.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, you can disagree, but it
hang
doesn't.
on.
I mean, it's
Hang on.
Can I just say, while I disagree, I wanted to say, but I didn't want to interrupt you, that I fully respect the fact that you do so much.
Yeah,
That makes it, because but here's the facts of the matter is that a lot of people that share your same sentiment don't do none of that. Like,
and I agree
they
with
don't
you.
do none of that. They
Yeah.
don't want to fund. They don't want to fund Medicaid.
Right.
They don't want to fund food stamps, welfare, or anything. They just want this pregnancy to happen, and then that's your problem once that joker's out here.
Right.
Like, that's not right. Like, if we're gonna force women to have babies, then there needs to be some support for them. Point blank, period.
But it's
And
so
someone
much
had mentioned
happening.
in the comments, I'm sorry, Jay, let me just say this. Somebody had mentioned in the comments, oh, well, why don't they get their tubes tied? Do you know how difficult it is to convince an OBGYN to tie your tubes? You have to get permission from your husband. If you only have 2 kids, they're gonna tell you,
hang on, Jamie.
you've only had 2. You've only had 2. This is I worked in OBGYN for like a long time. It is so difficult to convince someone to give you a tubal ligation, especially if you have never had a baby.
That's true.
You have never had a baby, it's nobody. Right, exactly. It's not the OBGYN's decision,
Right.
but it is, because they're the ones doing it.
And here's the thing, I'm gonna agree with you on that, because when I had my son, I was like, hey, can you just go ahead and just shut everything down? I don't want to do this again, right? And he was like, this is your first baby. I remember I was laying there, I was like, look, you got everything open, let's just do this thing. He was like, this is your first baby, you're gonna want another baby. And I was like, no, sir, listen, this was not easy, I don't want to do this again, right? And he was like, no, we're not going to. And he didn't do it. And so he told me that I was too young to make that decision on my own, and that I should, he did. That I come back when I was 25 or so and talk to him then. That's what he said, because I was 21, 22 ish at that time.
That's what car
She's
rentals.
not lying about that. I was laying. I mean,
That's what car rental places say to kids who aren't 25 yet because of insurance. Like,
he
hey,
was like, "You're
you
on that
can't get
good
an
stuff. You know, you
SUV.
want that good
Like,
medicine.
here,
Like,
take this
you know,
little car. Yeah, you can't get an SUV. No, come back to 25. Like maybe, you know. But it's weird that that's even there's some to that, right? The idea that the brain doesn't finish developing until around 24. Aha,
Yeah,
mansplaining.
that's correct.
No,
That's
so
correct.
we've come back to it because you're saying, hey man, let the states decide and let people decide through their local governments and to up to state governments, right? But here are some federally protected things. Because I'm gonna play sort of devil's advocate on this. Yeah, some protected things: wages and hours, workplace safety and health, workers' compensation, employee benefits security, unions and their members, employee protection, all sorts of things, right? All sorts of things are federally protected.
Now,
why do you even need those things to be federally? Like, let the states figure it out. They can figure it out. But hang on, here comes the devil in the devil's advocate game, right? As we look at, there are 5 states that have not adopted a state minimum wage. And before the national one happened, it was Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Tennessee. All with the thought of, hey, we don't want a minimum out there because that will hurt the negotiating power for the workers. Saying that you have to at least pay me this much and give me this much in this much time, we don't want to do that because that's going to take negotiation power from the workers. Now, I've had embarrassingly too many jobs. I have almost never felt like I had any negotiation power. It was me begging, right? I'm trying to put my best foot forward, right? And I'm begging for a job, and they go, we'll see. Maybe we'll call you. Maybe we won't. Bye-bye. Dismiss. Right? Like, I mean, it's incredible. Some people get paid, around $2. And I'm not talking about waitresses or anything like that. But literally, like, nah, we're going to pay you this much. It's like, well, dang, man, I need at least 3. Nope, we're going to pay you this much, or we're going to find somebody else. Why? Because there's such a shortage, right? I mean, it's just incredible what they're able to do legislatively in order to ensure those types of powers. And let's not forget that at one point, there were some states who said, nah, you can't drink out of that fountain.
Right.
Don't do it. Don't you do it. Don't whistle at a white woman, as that article comes out, right? About there was a warrant, but the guy didn't want to serve that lady who lied and participated in the abduction of Emmett Till, right? He didn't want to bother her because, well, she's a good lady and has 2 kids to raise. I didn't want to bother her, he's quoted. Bother her to serve a warrant in a conspiracy to kidnap a person. So
child.
What are we doing here? Can we trust the states? And if they keep wages so low, Miss Moorehead, that I can't afford to move, what am I to do? And I love your explanation is, hey man, keep your legs closed.
Oh, but are we talking about, we're going on regular stuff now, right? So if we really be honest with ourselves, first of all, our government does not care about us, right? And at this point with them overturning stuff, now they're leaving us to our own devices, which is going to cause civil unrest. And that is the point. The point is to cause civil unrest so that we are fighting each other and then martial law can be instituted. Now, if we just want to keep it like that, this is just a setup. I mean, we're just pawns in the game, and we have put these people in office thinking that they had our best interest at heart, when really we should have had our own interest at heart, came together as a people, and did the right thing. But because we are so divided amongst issues, like small issues, we can't see through the smoke mirrors right here, behind the wizard thingy, that we've been getting played. Period. Like, we're just getting, like, right now we're divided again because we're fighting about killing babies or terminating pregnancies. But the bigger thing is that there's a big case going on in Washington right now that nobody's covering because we're still arguing about this. Food shortage is coming, right? Like, we already know there's things that are not coming on shelves. Well, it's already here. You know what I'm saying?
Bill Gates is buying up all the farmland he can get his hands on,
all the property.
You got
Monsanto,
right? It's here.
Monsanto buying out all the regular farms and regular food, so they're no longer really organic. So we're set up legitimately for civil unrest and the instituting of a one world government, and that's just where we're headed.
So now we're getting into some
New world order.
Right. You mind if I ask your
What did Bush say?
religion
What did
or
Bush
anything?
say?
He said over 275,000
Yeah.
acres.
Bill Gates, with all those acres and a recent divorce, we should all be scared, because it was him that said that through vaccinations he was going to help with population control. So I just want to make sure that he said that in his conference. We will go ahead.
In context, I saw that in, they had that fact check stuff. He was saying that would help by maintaining, right? But you believe what you want to believe, and that's fine, especially on this show.
We can talk about the 1980 something act that protects vaccinations. Let's be that. Let's talk about all of that. We could go down the list.
We already agreed. Government's not here for you. Government is not here for you. They are constantly. So if government's not here for you and corporation is not here for anything but your money, it does come down to us. Even when you talk about the idea that our topsoil is out of nutrients, so much so that if you try to grow a banana by the old ways, right? Because fruits have seeds, it'll come out little bitty.
I think it's supposed to be little, though. I think these massive bananas
it wasn't there
before.
No. But originally they had seeds and they were regular size, and then they shrunk because of the what we're doing to our topsoil, like globally, what we're doing to our topsoil. And now, if you get a nice big yellow banana with no seeds, that thing is a clone.
Right. So,
we've been doing that for how long? Do you guys remember peeling a banana, biting into a banana, and spitting seeds out? No. That's how long this has been happening. So if none of these people are here for us, what are we to do, Miss Jasmine? Go.
Yeah.
What are we to do if nobody's here for us?
No, I'm saying government's not here for you. Corporation just wants your money. What are some possible solutions?
To saving the world? Awesome question. I love this.
But you know what? I like how she said that, because that's how people look at it. I'm gonna save the world. I'm gonna, go march.
I ain't got no business trying to save the world. That's why I became a PA, so I could save individual worlds.
Right, and be
one
properly
individual world at a time.
And be properly compensated, so you can also help to save your family or put them in the best position possible. Right. So I think now we're come to it, because Miss Jamie, do you mind shouting out your religion? I don't want to put you on blast.
I'm gonna say I'm a believer in the way. I'm not gonna say I'm Christian, because I don't even know what that looked like. I read the Bible, I follow truth, you know what I'm saying, and that's about it. Because I don't know what those other people do in that church.
There have been terms co-opted. There have been terms co-opted, I believe in Christ, so therefore I'm a Christian.
Yeah, I believe in Yahushua HaMashiach. I'm gonna make sure that it's clear.
Oh wait, no. Hang on. Say that again.
Yahushua HaMashiach.
Okay. I've never heard it like that except in movies. That was good.
Right.
That was good. All right. So here's my thing. So if you believe in that way, right, in the way, then that means you believe that the world's gonna get progressively worse until it isn't anymore, and there is no stopping that line, that ultimate ending. Right?
Right.
Oh, that makes me sad. Okay, get her out of here. But so what are you to do? And I feel like, and you ladies tell me if you agree or not. What are you to do? All that you can, as best as you can. Right. But I don't believe telling people and undressing them about what these things or that thing is, like whatever. If you don't understand that the government is gonna, if you believe that they are really out here fighting to protect the babies, you need to look at. How many states? What is it, 20, 25 to 27, somewhere around there, that are still authorized to perform, capital punishment?
Right.
Right? The idea that marijuana is available in your local supermarket a few decades ago.
Right.
And one guy who, under the threat of losing his position in government, just made a bunch of stuff up. It makes black men crazy, and they come after your white woman. Right? All while not leaving out medicinal uses. The fact that it was used decades before even that, no problems. Like I said, sold in stores. Right? Hemp was coming for paper. And we can't do that, says that corporation. So they start shelling out money to the government who says, well, you know what? Actually, we agree, despite what our own findings are. We agreed that it's a danger to society.
Right.
And then that caused such an exodus from freedom, from free life into the prisons that, it makes your head spin. There are more people incarcerated now in the United States than there were slaves before the Civil War.
Right.
That's incredible. No one else does it like this but America.
Right.
So what I say, to what extent? To what extent do they care about these babies? Like, I need everybody to understand one thing and one thing alone. They only want that vote. Corporations only want your money. Period. End of story. So we can't keep making it about, what they're just being morally upright. Like, no, they're playing all of us, like she said. Like, this is like an over 60-year plan to get rid of all kinds of rights for all kinds of people.
Right.
Right. So when I say, what do we do? Like, what is it? Self-responsibility. Keep your head down. Hope for the best.
I don't know. I protect my peace at all costs by any means necessary. So that's really all I can do for myself, anyways.
Jazz, if you can figure out how to bottle that and sell it, you'll be richer than the top 10 billionaires combined. Right? Next Thursday, right? So, how does one achieve that, Miss Moorehead? How does one just protect your peace at all costs, and so nothing bothers her, gets to her? Like, how do we do that?
I mean, I don't know, because I don't know about. I don't know how to protect the peace, but I could give you a plan. You want a plan? I mean, just initially, right? So you said, how do we, if we know this is going to happen, what do we do, right? So, like, for instance, Jasmine is a PA, right? So she knows how to do medical things that possibly, if everything got shut down, she could save somebody's life, right? In all genuineness, she could fix a wound, she could do that. I and I'm going to be honest, you would need to find like-minded people that are ready to prepare for some type of disaster like that, and you guys create, your own I would say environment. I'm going to say environment readiness and prepared for something to happen. That way, like, okay, Susie down the street lives here, she's able to grow whatever this is, you know what I'm saying? But we have a system within this system that protects us and our family, because that's really all you can do at this point, is to try and develop your own system within the system, so that when all hell breaks loose and we can't go to the stores and whatever happens, right? We don't know. We need to find ways to make our own water clean or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Like, those type of things. But if we all have our own skill, right? And we bring that together in whatever area we are in with the same mindset, when everything, we'll be protecting our peace, just like Jasmine said. Then we're protecting our peace, we're protecting our home, and we're family, because we have an actual plan.
Here's my only concern with that plan.
What?
Hold on now, wait a minute. Same team, time out.
I thought that was a good plan.
It was a good plan, Jasmine. I wish you lived closer. You know what I'm saying?
It's a brilliant plan, but here's the idea that's been sold, right? Especially with the so-called American dream, like the idea that there are less than 3,000 billionaires on the planet, and if a third of them just decide, you know what, we're just gonna do right by other people, all of this is gone. We could have fresh water everywhere. Everybody can have food, water, shelter. It's just a number. It's just arithmetic.
Right.
But people involved, they still have an unwillingness to cooperate, especially the people with things. And the people without get so downtrodden and just beat down that they say, forget the rules, everything. Some people go as far as suicide. Some people are like, rape, kill, murder to get whatever, right? Some people are holding signs out for 12 hours a day. Like, my goodness. The problem with that plan is people. How do you close those gaps of mistrust, right? How do I know that somebody's not going to infiltrate you? Like, if you ever watch something like, what was it, Walking Dead, or any of those post-apocalyptic
exactly
things.
what I was thinking about.
You know what I mean? How do you know? How do you know? Like, the problem from the beginning of time, like, think about this. I'll go biblical for you, okay? The Israelites, my goodness, just witnessed all these miracles. Oh, but we ain't got no bread. Like, okay, fine, here's a miracle. Manna from heaven. Problem solved. Oh, but we ain't got no meat.
Some manna.
Okay, you got meat. Here, we're gonna make a block of steaks just run through your account. Yo, but what about a king? Like, did you not see what I did? Did you not see what I frapping did?
Right.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna give you a king, but here's what's gonna happen. And all those things come like people have always been the problem.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, imagine being able to walk with God and being like, yeah, but
I
come
don't
on,
know.
man.
Was that really him or not? You know?
Right, look, man, one of the things that always have rocked me about that entire library of stories, right, has been the idea that Eve is just like, I bit it and didn't die. See, I know exactly what God meant and what he was talking about. Let me go show Adam. And he goes like, well, I mean, she ain't dead and she kind of fine, so let's try it. Like, come on, man. Come on, man.
Why do you have to put it like that?
Come on, man.
So you want to know what to do about people. I guess you have to, again, there's the planning, right? So say we're all doing this as a group and Jasmine, we're all in this, right? And you start acting funny. You feel me?
Why
like,
gotta be me? Why gotta me be? Why gotta me be?
I'm just saying,
So
you're the only man in here, so I wasn't gonna
just numerically, like, I should be the one safe person here. Get out of here.
Just saying. You start acting funny. There still needs to be a system within your home. So if you have to cut off, you know, the outside resources, you already developed something within your home. And that's just really what it is, because at the end of the day, it's survival of the fittest. And sometimes, you know, your neighbor ain't fit.
But but where does that come from? Doesn't it come from, what's his face?
I don't know where it comes from. I just know that I'm not dying for you. You feel me? Like,
all right, careful. You sound like Alex Jones. Like, look, hey, let me tell you, I'll eat people. Like, eat people? Yeah, like 1,000 steps we can look at first. How did you get straight to eating people, sir?
No, the grocery stores were still open and everything. Like,
right. He was very. Look, he wanted people to know I will eat you. Like, what? Hold on, man. What do you mean eat me? So, okay, fine. But here's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like that's Darwinism, right? Survival of the fittest. But that was a very small percentage of his writings. He mostly talked about love and working together and collaboration, but it's not sexy enough, right? Because we are genetically predisposed to look for the snake in the grass, because that can be more harmful than all that love you're getting. You know, I tell my kids all the time, like, you know, I'm constantly apologizing for going off on people in traffic. Sometimes just like, that was one person out of about, I don't know, 206 cars that passed me just fine. Like, why am I so enamored with that one person, right? That one person who saw my signal light and accelerated and then cut me off and got in the lane that had nothing to do with the lane I was trying to get into in the first place. Sorry, let me stop. So, and off the top, I get in trouble a lot for, right. Look to the ants, right? I've never seen one traffic jam, one bottleneck, nothing, right? Anyway, I'm saying to you that biblically, scientifically, if you believe the marshmallow test, it's only going to get worse until there's no more. That's where we're headed.
Right.
So what do you do? You focus on yourself. Oh, there's a well. I like this.
Well,
there's
here's
hope.
The thing, right? My favorite movie is Jurassic Park. And there's a line that says, life finds a way. And it does. We're actually very adaptable. Really surprisingly adaptable. To the point that if we adapt on a genetic level, because of epigenetics, which is
my granny did it.
That's not a lie though, neither. Yes. Solid tip.
This guy. Oh my goodness.
You know, after our bodies are so our bodies are really, really incredible. And it all works in sync in a nice homeostasis with each other. But when you break it down to like even a genetic level, like it's really incredible that when we adapt, like the things that we are exposed to, like physically, emotionally, environmentally, women in particular, it can change us to the point, I'm sorry, women in particular, our epigenetics have an effect on our grandchildren. Like that is how just perfectly we are made, right?
So like really, if you have a son If you have a son, it's been proven that there's a little bit of your son's DNA that stays with you for the rest of your life as a mother.
So
Yeah.
we are technically like 50.1% our mother and 49.9% our father.
Mhm.
And that is because of mitochondrial DNA that you inherit only from your mother in order for a zygote to allow to continue like dividing and replicating and building and it's really interesting. In order for one little zygote to become a fetus, it actually takes a lot of death for that to happen. The layers of cells that were once around it have to die in order for the next layer to come up, for the next germ cell layer to come up. And it just compounds and pounds and sheds
So
and
it's a living thing. It's a living thing. I see you're describing it. I just wanted.
Oh, it has no. Living means that you have really okay. So let's talk about death. Let's talk about death,
We're back at it, folks.
Let's talk about death. Like, so when a heartbeat does not mean that you are alive. Like, it does not mean that you're alive or dead. This is what we determine when we call or declare a death. We are checking for neurological deficits that would only result from being brain dead, right? Because, for instance, people who have pacemakers, their heart will not stop until that pacemaker is done,
right?
Even if they're brain dead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right? But if you don't have any pupil reflexes and you can't respond, things that are like not controllable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then if you check all these off, boop, 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 all we have to do, if you want to, or people who are on like life support, for instance, they're technically dead. We're just keeping their body from rotting.
Right.
You know? So
let me ask Jamie this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And in the same vein, cardiac arrest does not mean that you are dead. You're not dead yet. Just because your heart is not beating in that moment, that does not mean that you are like dead in that instance. You will still be alive for a little bit. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, because the circulatory system, I mean, it's still pumping prior heartbeats, right? So it's still flowing.
Right. You still have oxygenated blood that's still fueling the brain. So you're still feeling and cognizant of everything that's still happening. Your reflexes are still intact and everything like that. So like that was my issue with the heartbeat bill, is that like that does not mean that it's gonna be viable, right? There's still like malformations that can happen that, then they can still have a heartbeat. But they don't have a fully formed skull. Their brain will be sitting outside of their head if they're delivered. Does that make, you know what I'm saying? Or they don't have kidneys, a genesis of their renal system. Like that would not be viable for life, but they can have a heartbeat.
Right, but we agree that those type of terminations are warranted, right? Like we understand that.
Oh, okay, good. Great.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. No, because that wouldn't make no logical sense to that's suffering. That's causing a person to be birthed and then they're going to be suffering the rest of their life. Like they're going to be dependent on something. But I guess where my thing is that we know if it's just for the fact of I just don't want to have another child right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think that that's fair?
So
is it more fair to have a child who's like in a dysfunctional household and can't live a good quality of life? Because my thing is as a medical, my brain works as I strive for quality of life, not necessarily quantity. Our quantity of life is always going to be finite.
Right.
Always. Period. Right.
I think that, I get when people say functional, but at this point, I just want to be honest, right?
Yeah.
Where is a determination of functional and paradigm? Because everybody's environments are so messed up, and where you think that something is toxic is not necessarily toxic to somebody else, right? So I guess I get where you're coming from, because I mean, like, I read the cases, so I know how crazy people can logically be. If you don't want your child to live in a dysfunctional household, then wrong. Oh God. Okay.
Oh, man.
Right.
We gotta get him on next. But so hold on, real quick, because we're coming up against time. We got like 5 minutes, and there's a lot to really uncover in 5 minutes. You ladies are just gonna have to come back.
I know. I enjoyed this though.
Yeah, I like Indy. I like
you too.
Oh, love fest. See, this is why they call it the Beehive. First of all, there are no men involved. That blew my mind when I found, like, there are no male bees just flying around here. Like, what?
No.
Come on, man. So,
they're just sex slaves in the hive, and then they die.
You sound too pleased about that. Craig, you okay? Hey, brother, call me or something, man. Let me know you okay. But the ideal, I like Jasmine's ideal of quality of life, right? I mean, how incredible the brain is, the body is. I've seen guys get knocked out and still fight on while they were knocked out. Don't remember anything that happened. Completely gone, right? So this idea of quality of life, and I feel, here's the problem with humans, right? I feel both of y'all. Right. Give the baby a chance. Who knows? Maybe that hard life is going to turn into some of these inventors or ball players or, engineer, whatever, right? Who knows what that can turn into? But
they could turn to Jeffrey Dahmer,
or Jeffrey Dahmer. Either way, right?
Decent life. Some of our serial murders had a decent life, and that's why I said it's kind of hard to even say that, because a lot of them had 2-parent households, and they to the point where people are like, why would they act like that out of that home? Does that make sense? And so
here's where we're, because we're up against time. Here's where we're getting to, right? The idea of quality of life. 75% of long-term correctional facility inmates have a father absent from the household.
Right.
Is that quality of life? I've worked in these prisons. It's not at all. Right? And I've seen some of the most brilliant minds end up in prison. Like, to the point where they told us to tuck our keys in, because they could literally look at your keys and find a way to make a replica. Out of what? MacGyver?
Yes.
Out of what?
I know.
And you remember the exact shape of my keys? What are we doing here? So my thing is, I like the idea of, give every child, if it's not medical or whatever, give the child a chance. Who knows? But after that, I need y'all to come with some other legislation that's going to support these people. That's going to allow men to feel like men and have a proper wage. Georgia, some of your people making $2 an hour. Tennessee,
$7.20 is our base pay.
Right, but I don't think they've adopted it. But it's it's federally protected. The federal minimum wage is now $7.25, and they fought forever to get that much.
Right.
But there's something that happened. Look, they used to pay over 90% of taxes in a certain tax bracket, right? 90+%. It was 95 at one point, and another president came along and said, "Nope, not enough. You need to pay more." Right? That's back when production and jobs, employment and wages all stayed the same. My lady here is about to get hitched, if she don't mind me saying, to a brilliant financial mind. And this guy says to zoom out and look at the trends.
Right.
One thing that has separated fathers from their homes more than anything else, more than the world wars or any of that, is that somewhere around Nixon, and then culminated itself in the Reagan years, Reaganomics. We said, hey, you don't have to pay your fair share of taxes. And matter of fact, we're not going to even make you pay your employees. We're going to trust you, companies, Coke, whoever. We're going to trust you that when we make sure that you get more money in your pocket, you're going to put in the employees' pockets as well.
Right.
And here's what happened. Wages flatlined, dead. DEAD, died, right? I know I didn't spell it. Don't hold me to that. Okay. But the idea is that wages stayed the same, but cost of living and production increased. If you look at that trend, there's something terribly wrong. Then something happened after that. Fathers started disappearing from homes. Why? Because I can't work. And I've been told my whole identity is being man of the house and providing financial services.
Yeah.
Took that from these men. And then they said, well, the hell with it. You guys figure it out. And it's been just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Listen at that number, 75%. So we're the most jailed people in the world, Americans. Absolutely. 75% of those prisoners come from a single parent home who had that prisoner and said, what if, along with everybody else, religious or otherwise. And it did not work because the system cannot work. Scientifically, religiously, all of that. Miss Jamie Moorehead, final word, 30 seconds. Where can we find you? The end.
Oh, you can find me, I guess, on jaysbutter.com. And my final words for that is, it sounds like, and I'm just going to be honest, it comes back to the home and to us holding one another accountable. And stop looking to politicians to fix what we have going on here, because they can't see what's going on in our homes, right? So we need to become, I would say, where everybody says, like a village again, where we start caring for one another genuinely, right? Right. It's like, you're talking about the men not being able to get jobs part. Yeah. And then the crime bill. Yes. So we do need to understand that a family union does have a great effect on children, right? We also need to make sure that people are learning how to be in whatever role they want to be in. Like if it's a husband role you want to be in, what does that look like? Functionability. If I'm not mistaken, that's what Jasmine said, like quality, right? We want quality individuals, and we're just not. It's almost becoming a domino effect of nobody is accountable for themselves, or even knowing what behavior is going to yield good fruit, right, from those behaviors. So I'm just saying, maybe we just need to start loving and servicing each other again, right? Because the best part, love is service, period. It's just what it is.
Right. And they fill in those gaps of mistrust with contracts, right? For your little farm, your little preparedness, right? There's a lady who did everything that she was supposed to, and that plane crashed into her living room and killed her. Like,
just her luck,
it rains on the just as well as the unjust alike.
Somebody else could get it, though. Somebody else could get all of what she prepared.
Possibly. Go ahead, Miss Jasmine. Final word.
I just wanted to say, I know that there are a lot of people who are scared and really distressed by this current situation the God is facing. So I just want to just encourage everyone to keep a cool head, protect your peace at all costs, and by any means necessary. If you have to take a break from social media, please do that. Take care of yourself, sis. Much love.
I love it. Listen, with that, we're going to wrap up with this. I had a co-worker pass away, a little younger than myself, I believe. Had all kinds of issues personally, but came to work and worked well for people that needed it. And I just got so angry at times, because I was like, Trump is roaming around here telling people, yeah, I like dumb people, and I just say stuff, and if they cheer, I say it again to their face. This man is still roaming around and a viable candidate for the next presidential election. It's not fair.
Right.
But I keep reminding myself, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate for. So I'm making this deal with myself that I am going to try 3 things I want to do for this guy, and for my family. We're going to travel. We're gonna plot out a course. We're gonna travel. We're gonna see some of this world as much as we can while we can, before they start shutting borders, from Americans again, right? And we're gonna eat some really cool places, and we are going to serve as many people as possible and do as much good as possible. Why? Because we can. Because we can. I told you, less than 3,000 billionaires on the planet, and if a third of that number decides we're just gonna do right by people, everybody has food, housing, water, everything. If they just tomorrow all say, you know what? Yeah, we'll do right by people. They could literally fund that and thus make the world a better place. But Jasmine Adams, soon to have a name change. Congrats.
Miss Jamie Moorehead.
Right. Thank y'all so much. And look, sorry for Chulo Rich not being here. Y'all keep him and his family in your prayers. Besides that, peace. See y'all next week.
for you.